The suspect of the mass shooting at a Georgia high school yesterday is set to make his first court appearance on Friday.
Officials say 14-year-old Colt Gray will attend this hearing virtually. We are learning new details about the mass shooting. Investigators say the alleged gunman was armed with an AR-style weapon. He's charged with murder and will be tried as an adult.
4 people were killed and 9 others were injured in the shooting. The victims were identified as 2 14-year-old students and 2 teachers. Christian Angelo, Mason Schermerhorn, Richard Aspinwall, and Christina Aramy. One student shared her account of the terrifying moment with Arjerica Duncan. Take a listen.
All I remember is him at the door, the teacher seeing him at the door, saying over the intercom, like, oh, he's here. Students going to open the door, then backing up from the door, I guess if they saw something. And then you kind of see him turn more to like my right side, and then you just hear about 10 to 15 shots.
CBS News national correspondent Dave Malkoff is on the ground there in Winder, Georgia, with more.
Lana and Errol, the focus for this entire community is on the 4 lives that were lost here at this high school yesterday. That's Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angelo, both 14 years old, and the 2 math teachers, Christina Aramy and Richard Aspinwall. They were math teachers here at the school. They all lost their lives. There are 9 other people who were shot in some capacity. But now the FBI is investigating contact between a local sheriff's department and the suspect and his father. This was a contact that was made last year when there were other threats that were online. These were anonymous tips of a school shooting that was possibly coming up. But at that point, there was no arrest made because there was no probable cause for that. Errol and Lana, back to you.
Dave, thank you. Anna Schecter joins us now in Studio 57 with her analysis of this case. As you may know by now, she's a senior coordinating producer for CBS News' Crime and Public Safety Unit. Let's pick off on where Dave left off. It was around this time yesterday, all 3 of us were discussing what could potentially be the motive. Could there have been clues? Apparently there were warnings. The FBI investigated this child, his father, last year. What should have happened or did happen based on what we know now?
Well, the system in place really worked at the federal level. So the FBI got a tip from a user who was in a Discord chat room. This is sometimes the deep, dark place of the internet where we do tend to see calls for violence and threats like this. Discord is a platform often used by gamers, and in a police report filed by local officials at the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, the FBI alerted the local officials, hey, we got a tip from somebody who had been in a chat room with this individual believed to be Colt Gray, who was then 13 years old. He was a middle schooler at a nearby school. He posted photos of a gun and an imminent threat to attack a middle school. There were no specifics put into the tip that went to the FBI. The FBI was so concerned, however, about the nature of the threat and that it could be even the next day that the local police found Colt and his father, Colin Gray. And it was actually difficult. They were living in another house. They met another family who said, oh, yes, this family was evicted. They had some issues. And then Colin, his father, told local police once they actually found him in the new home that the parents had divorced. The mother had taken 2 younger children to another address. And Colt was now living with his father. The father admitted that at the previous middle school, Colt had been having some serious problems. But he said that things had gotten a lot better since he had switched to a new middle school. But all of this, the reason for the visit was this Discord threat. Colt denied that he made the threat. He did acknowledge he had a Discord account. He said that he had deleted it because he was concerned about people hacking in. He basically denied everything and was convincing enough that the local official didn't feel like he had enough information to substantiate that Colt actually was the owner of that Discord account and actually made the threat.
Which included an image of a weapon, right? Wasn't that the
Yes,
post?
And another very strange thing that popped up in this local police report, the user profile name was written in Cyrillic, and it spelled out Lanza, referring to Adam Lanza, who carried out the Newtown, Connecticut school shooting with those small children, one of the biggest mass shootings in Connecticut history.
Well, so Anna, when you say the system worked at the federal level, I think my immediate reaction was, no, the system didn't work. But what you're saying is that it worked at the federal level in terms of it did get investigated, but clearly parts of the system didn't work. So what didn't work? We also talked about red flag laws. Was part of this a failure of the investigation? Was part of this that there was no recourse? Would red flag laws have helped in this circumstance?
The red flag laws would have helped because the FBI was concerned enough that they could have at least, had there been laws in place, they could have at least confiscated the guns that the father acknowledged having. The father even acknowledged that Colt, the 13-year-old, was allowed to use the guns under his supervision, but that generally they were locked away. The father also told local officials that he had spoken to his son about this the night before. This had clearly been an issue. He had clearly been concerned about his son, switched his school. There are a lot of unanswered questions. Obviously, something failed. This horrific act was carried out. But where I see the breakdown is at the local level, they didn't have confidence in the digital footprint that pointed to Colt Gray. Mm-hmm. And they were convinced that he might not have even been the owner of that Discord account. But to me, a reference to Adam Lanza, an imminent threat, images of guns, that actually, statistically speaking, when there is an image of a gun posted, I mean, that's where the FBI knows there's a huge spike in likelihood that the person will actually carry out the attack.
All right. Anna Schecter, thank you.
Thank you, Anna.